What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Saleen S1 Icebreaker Edition. So to get this car, guys, all you will have to do is hit level 25 in the Motor Pass and you're welcome to drive this vehicle. I honestly really do think this thing actually looks really awesome. I'm not going to lie though, I wasn't the biggest fan of the regular S1 when I did drive it. Like, I thought this car was honestly kind of awful, but I think I'm going to change my mind on that now after driving the Icebreaker Edition. So a few things here, guys. For one, you're going to notice compared to the regular S1, that car is indeed going to have a body kit on it, which I notice on this one, there is not going to be any body kit available for this car whatsoever. So at least it's going to be very unique in that aspect, not only with the body kit, but also the way the car is going to look as well, which I kind of actually like the look of the S1. I think this car is pretty unique. I think I saw something about this car being a four-cylinder. I could be wrong on that, but I do think the overall design of this thing looks awesome. Like, for example, guys, look at those rims. Like, I really do like how those look, plus the blue going around them to match the livery of the vehicle. Then we have the orange going around it. Also, that really nice wide body kit. You can also see like the bolts in there as well. So I have to give it to Ubisoft the way they do make some of these cars look pretty awesome. Like, this thing is pretty nice looking. I really do think it actually looks really good in an aspect of not being overdone. Some of the cars kind of look kind of odd with what they have on them, but this thing definitely looks pretty awesome. Now, there's going to be a few things about the S1 that did throw some players off. For one, the regular S1, guys, that I do remember correctly, that car was definitely not the fastest thing out there. But one thing I notice about the Icebreaker right off the bat, though, is I might even go as far as saying this car might have some of the best handling in the entire game. Like, it's honestly going to be that good. But nonetheless, though, let's go take an outside look of the S1 Icebreaker Edition right now, and then I will also be doing a quick top speed test and then jumping into one of the races to really test out this vehicle's overall performance. So spawning over to this random highway in the Icebreaker, the first thing you guys are probably going to notice are the donkeys over there. I've been seeing a lot of these running back and forth in this area. Not only that though, I also have a truck there and the one behind me that for some odd reason basically stopped in almost the exact same places. So I'm kind of waiting for like a weird UFO or something to come down and pick the car up. But overall though, I really do think Ubisoft did a very good job with this vehicle. Like, I love the design of this thing. As I did mention before, I wasn't the biggest fan of the regular S1, but my goodness though, this Icebreaker Edition is looking pretty awesome, and not only that though, it also sounds pretty dang good. And then moving over to the interior view of the S1 as well, guys, I think this car does honestly look pretty interesting. I was kind of mixed on the regular version of this car as well, but then again, you don't have to have a huge tablet in the car plus all kinds of weird things. For some odd reason though, I kind of like having like regular buttons in my vehicle instead of having like everything in a tablet, which to a certain extent I kind of feel like that's also kind of unsafe. And being in first person view, you can obviously see I'm still wearing this insanely ugly sweater. But overall though, guys, I think we can all agree the S1 also looks really good inside. But now moving over to the top speed test with the S1 Icebreaker Edition. So the first thing I did notice, guys, after driving this car for a little bit, this thing's obviously not going to be the fastest thing out there when it comes to its overall top speed, but one thing I can admit though is this car does seem to get up to its top speed pretty fast though. So using a nitrochemist set, this car is only going to do around 222 to 224 miles per hour with a nitrochemist set. So I actually believe this is going to be one of the slowest overall cars in the entire street category, which I'm sure that lower top speed's probably going to make a lot of players not actually want to use this car, which I really can't blame you guys on that. But one thing I do want to mention though, I also feel like this S1 Icebreaker, which probably similar to the regular car, is going to be one of the overall best handling cars in the entire street class. Like, I think this thing's going to be that good. The only drawback about this vehicle though is going to be its top speed, which depending on the events you guys might be doing, this is definitely going to be an issue though, considering any vehicle in these street class is obviously going to beat this thing on a straightaway. Even if you guys were slipstreaming somebody, it's not going to matter with the S1 because most of the other cars can go like 30 to sometimes even 40 miles per hour faster, which is definitely going to hurt this car in the bigger events, and I feel like if you guys were doing summits, most players are probably not going to pick this vehicle. So if I had to guess, I would say many players are most likely wondering once again about the top speed of the Icebreaker Edition. 224 miles an hour is definitely going to be insanely slow, even for a maxed out vehicle in this class, but I would say, guys, that's not really going to ruin this car in any way, because I do think the handling is going to be its biggest asset, similar to the regular S1 as well. I know many players did mention that the fact that the car is slow, but the handling on this vehicle is definitely going to be insanely good. So if you guys were doing something like the Flashback Japan race or something like that, or even like one of these smaller circuit races in the game, I really do feel like the Icebreaker is going to be the best car you can possibly use. I'm actually planning on trying out this thing more in the future as well, because I actually feel like this car is going to be a great competitor on these smaller tracks. This car is most likely going to shine heavily on many of these shorter tracks, mainly because of how good the handling actually is. One thing I was also noticing is, yeah, this car only does like 224 miles an hour. One thing I can admit though, guys, this thing really does get to speed quickly, so if you guys are running Nitro Chemist, you can easily get this car to 200 miles per hour easily. So if you were to be on one of these smaller tracks like that harbor race down in Miami, I really do feel like this car is going to be insanely good on those, the way this thing can fly around a corner. One thing I was also noticing about the Icebreaker Edition is the fact that for some odd reason, guys, I really do like the way this car does handle and the way it actually feels compared to the regular S1. I don't know why that is, but when I was testing out the base S1, I was honestly not a big fan of that car. Like, I was really not feeling that thing, plus the top speed on it was honestly hurting it so much to the fact of I was like, you know what, I'm probably never going to use this car on anything, but now after getting the Icebreaker Edition, I'm definitely going to try out this car when these smaller tracks show up in the summits to really see what it can do. I don't really think that insanely low top speed is going to hurt this vehicle unless you guys do want to do those bigger events, like for example the Everglades or something like that. I feel like might hurt this car, because you'll basically just be going like 220 and every single vehicle can actually pass you besides the motorcycles, which those are honestly a different conversation how they should be in their own class, but many of the street cars are going to be able to basically overpower this vehicle on any straightaway. The biggest thing with the S1 though is going to be the way this car will be able to probably outhandle them at least most of the time. But again, if some of those tracks have bigger areas in them where they have a bit of a straightaway, there's really not much you're going to be able to do in that aspect with competing with them. Like for example, if you guys were to jump into a race with like a Superleggera or even the Lamborghini Countach for example as well, there's not going to be much you can actually do to them. I would even say around something like a smaller track in the game or like a lot of those tight corners, those cars are most likely still going to pull away in some way though, because of the power that they do have. And then of course the second a big straightaway actually comes out, you are most likely going to start falling behind, because the car only hits 225 and obviously the Countach and or the Superleggera do like 260. And if we do talk about like the BMW M8 Performance Edition, that thing hits almost 280 miles an hour. So on one of those straightaways, guys are not going to be able to do much of anything with the Icebreaker, but I really do think on these smaller ones though, I really do think this car is going to be able to shine a lot more. Sure, if the race is going to be kind of long with any bit of a straightaway, I really don't think a lot of players are going to pick the S1 because of that lower top speed, which is definitely going to hurt it. But I also do think we can all agree the S1 Icebreaker Edition is a really nice looking car overall. Like, I really do like the body design of this thing. That wide body kit looks really nice. I really do like that livery on the vehicle, plus the orange going around it. It's also kind of a cool sounding car as well. Like, I didn't realize it till I was actually listening to it. I'm kind of impressed with this thing overall, at least the look of it, for example. Obviously the performance might not be the greatest thing out there compared to many of the other street cars, but I do kind of look past some of that stuff and still want to use some of these vehicles, even though they might not be the greatest thing in the game. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on the Saleen S1 Icebreaker Edition in the comments below. I think we can all agree this is going to be a very nice looking car. Unfortunately, it's going to have a lower top speed with some really good handling, so I do think this car is usable. Let me know what you guys think about this thing in the comments below, and here are the settings I'm currently running on this vehicle.